Guys, our mentor will be joining in a minute. Kindly wait. So once again, we can do the same task. Guys, if you're really excited for the today's session, kindly hit the chat box with word excited. The one who haven't done that, others can take a rest till while. So come on, guys, keep engaging the chat box so that. So I think our mentor has joined. Hello, sir. Just give me a minute.
Hey guys, welcome to today's session. Good evening, everybody. It's already 7:04, and I was mistakenly joining another session. My bad. But now that we are all here, good evening. And as our ritual, I don't know how many of you have attended my previous webinars, but I have a ritual which we will do in order to introduce ourselves. But before that, right, let me quickly introduce myself. I'm Pramit. For those of you who are meeting me for the first time, I'm a software architect with Amazon right now. And before that, I was with Microsoft for a long time, having worked with Windows, Azure, Visual Studio, and CRM teams, currently with the FinTech team at Amazon. Right. So this is a session where we are going to be talking about competitive coding versus industrial coding, right? So before we will begin soon. But before we do that, let's take a minute to introduce ourselves. So for that, what we will do is we will write all of our names as well as where we are from in the chat box. So let's do that. Let's take, we'll take 1 minute exactly for the whole ritual. So guys, everybody, awesome. Thank you for guys who are introducing themselves. Welcome Suraj, Karthik, everybody, please introduce just your name and where you're from. Welcome Saroj, welcome Uday, Gaurav, awesome. Welcome Hanuman, welcome Rituraj, Siddharth, welcome Himanshu, Dinesh, Manan, Sunny, Harsh, Shiva, Ritika, Prashant, welcome. Krishna, welcome. Shiba, welcome. Navya, Jyotishman, Naveen, welcome. Chugil, Soumya, Pradyumn, Aditya, Aniket, Karthik, Sasi, Shruti, Abhijit. Awesome. Welcome everybody. Anybody who's left, feel free to go ahead and introduce yourself by writing your name and where you're from. Sri Kanya, welcome. Awesome. Kaiser, welcome. Prashant, welcome. Rahul, welcome. Good to meet you all. Awesome. Anmol, welcome. Arvind, awesome. Good evening. Shiva, welcome. Okay, so if there is nobody else who wants to introduce himself or herself, what we will do is we will begin. And we want to keep it really, really fast. And at the same time, we want to also keep it very, very interesting, right? We will keep it very, very interesting and at the same time, very, very fast. Will not be slow. Okay. Awesome. So I will be sharing my slide in a second. Okay. Sharing my slide in a second. I have a slide, guys, but it's not like we are going to be formal about it. Okay, so we will be as informal as about it as possible, and we want to keep it interactive. Okay, awesome. So, guys, we were introducing ourselves, just our name and place in the chat box. So, if you haven't, go ahead and do that. Okay, so what is the topic for today, right? For those of you who joined us just now, I'll quickly introduce myself. This is Pramit, a software architect currently with Amazon. Before that, for more than 10 years with Microsoft in different teams, Windows, Azure, CRM, and Visual Studio. Okay, so okay, we'll start with, so this is more or less an agenda, but it's not like we are going to be following this exact agenda. So awesome. So guys, before we begin, how many of you have taken part or are thinking of taking part in any competitive coding? Respond in the chat box, please. Okay, awesome. Yeah, we'll keep it moving very, very quick, right? For every question, I'll give around maybe 15 seconds odd. Awesome. So a lot of us have some experience of competitive coding. So that's good, right? Second question. How many of you have done some sort of industrial coding, as in maybe some internship with some firm, maybe internship with a startup, right? How many of you have done some sort of coding in the industry? Yeah, let's go fast. Respond in 15 seconds. Okay, so some of you have, some of you haven't, which is fine, right? So today's, and so the in coding, because let's say when I was a student, long time back, let's say 13, 14, 15 years back, right? I also used to do some sort of competitive coding, and I was fond of doing algorithmic coding, right? But when you come to the industry, you realize that with all the hard work, you've become very, very good at competitive coding. But industrial coding, of course, borrows some characteristics from it, but at the same time, it's very different, very, very different, right? So today, my intent will be to give you guys a glimpse of how coding is going to be in the industry. How different is it from competitive coding? And how can you do a few things to prepare yourself so that you can become a superstar in the industry? Make sense? Hopefully will be useful a little bit if you retain maybe at least a couple of things also from today's session in the future. Hopefully you will be able to use it when you actually join the industry. Make sense, guys? Okay, so with that, we'll move on to the next topic, which is before going into coding in the industry, what are some of the things which will make you really good at competitive coding? What are three things in the order of priority? Let's go. So I have three things in my mind that I'll be sharing. It's not like it's an objective question. So it's not like it has a definitive answer, but in your opinion, what are the three most important things for anybody to be very, very good at competitive coding? Can you please respond in the chat box? Let's say 30 seconds. DS, algo, very good. Hard work, perseverance, very, very good. Dynamic thinking, very good. Problem solving, good. Language, good. DS, practice, which is same as hard work, let's say. Strong mathematical approach, very good. Creative thinking, important, good. Logic, right? Good approach. Maybe I'm interpreting it as optimization. Programs should be elegant, efficient, definitely. Again, optimization. Complexity analysis, again, optimization. Patience and consistency, okay. Implementation, okay. Approach and implementation, speed, practice. Awesome. So guys, thank you for responding. So in my opinion, I always say three things to students. First is concepts. And as part of concepts, I mean problem solving, maths, logic, all this I count under concepts. First is that, because if the concepts are not good and you are doing random practice or you are doing a lot of hard work, but if the concepts are not correct for whatever reason, you are going nowhere with competitive programming. Agreed? So first is concept. It is important before even coding it. Forget coding, right? Before coding, important thing is to understand that. Take a notebook, take a pen. What is Dijkstra? I have 100 nodes. How do I calculate nearest node from a one source node? I calculate one graph, okay. One set looks like this. I calculate the distances of all the other nodes from this set. I find the nearest node. I add it to that set, okay. It becomes like this. Then I add another node. It becomes like this. So first understand what that algorithm is before even trying to code, as long as it takes. 1 day, 5 days, 10 days, but don't hurry to code it up. Don't hurry to apply or insert data structures into it. No. First is understanding the concept, right? That's one. Second is, once you understand the concept, once you understand the logic, the maths behind it, you have to now convert it into code, right? So you could convert it into a theorem, into a proof, right? But you don't have to do that. You have to convert it into code. So you have to master the tools. There again, lots of, you said, which is data structures, which is practice, right? So practice and mastering your tools. Your tools are data structures and some sort of coding control flows like looping, like recursion, right? And in data structures, how do you apply dynamic programming, right? So your tools, so you need to practice your tools hard. Your tools, like I said, may involve data structures, may involve flow control, right? Like different strategies, recursion, or dynamic programming, right? So your tools, you need to practice your tools hard. Without practicing your tools hard, like any profession, in fact, right? If I'm a carpenter, if I don't practice my saw or my other tools hard, right, I'll not be able to make good furniture. Exactly like that. You need to practice your tools hard. That's the second part. The third part is, if any of you have read the book called Peak, right? I'm borrowing this idea from there and it's relevant and all of us pretty much know it, right? The third idea is incremental learning. And what that means today I know X. If I keep practicing X for the rest of the year, am I going to get any better? No. So you have to do incremental practice. As in, today I know X, so tomorrow you have to target X plus delta, which is more from X, so that you are still struggling for that new practice, for that new problem, right? I'll repeat the three strategies. First is concepts. Without concepts, forget data structure, forget practice, forget incremental learning. First is concept. No work around concepts. Second is your tools. Master your tools, data structures, flow control, optimization, and all of that, right? Third is incremental learning, and it has nothing to do with programming specifically. It's a general learning trick, right? Do incremental learning. Okay, so with that, I think that was a very like a very brief around competitive programming. But before I go to competitive programming, before I go to industrial programming, I want to hear from you guys around competitive programming, right? I gave you 3 tips how do you be very good, and what should the order be, right? But let's say, what are the topics, specific topics? Because this is the first difference that I'm bringing out, by the way. In competitive programming, you have a limited number of topics that you need to master, or you need to at least practice a great deal. But when you go to industry, the problem is whatever the customer defines, right? The customer says, I want a GPS based delivery method, so Swiggy or Zomato will go and invent it. It's not like the topics are limited, right? uh, but in the same vein, let's go ahead and enumerate the topics that we typically aspire to master as part of competitive programming, because that will also be very useful for this audience, right? So guys, let's go and try to enumerate some of the topics that you think you have to be very good at in order to be a good competitive programmer. 30 seconds. What are some of the topics that you must master? Array, stack, queue, awesome. Trees, awesome. DP, awesome. Karthik is like really fast. Recursion, DP, greedier algos, tree, graphs, graph, dynamic programming, LL, number theory. Okay. DP, graphs, greedy, linked list, maths. Good. What else? Number theory, somebody said, yeah. Okay. So first thing is, guys, manipulation, MIT manipulation, MIT manipulation or bit manipulation you meant probably. I don't know what MIT manipulation is, by the way. Divide and conquer, pseudocode, okay, bit, okay. Okay, so in alignment with what I said, right? Let's go back to our tips. First was concept, first was not tools. So don't first learn arrays and DPs or linked list or trees, right? First, you have to learn concepts. First, learn concepts. I'll repeat again. First, learn concepts, because it is very important. People start learning, practicing DP without knowing Dijkstra's or graph algorithms, DFS, BFS, right? That's the wrong way to go about it. First, you must understand the concept. If you understand the concept, you can express it in any language you want. You can express it in English, in formal language, in a program, in any form, right? But first is concept. So what are the concepts? Let me try to recall a few, right? Graph theory, very important, right? Especially trees, binary trees, n-ary trees, AVL balanced, what else? BFS, algos on trees, BFS, DFS, and all sorts of algos, right? Apart from, and then graph may the distance, shortest distance, network flow graphs. What are some of the other graphs? Weighted, unweighted graphs, right? Some of the very, very important concepts. Forget about coding. Before coding, first understand the concept, right? Then again, number theory, very important, a little bit difficult also. Number theory may some of the inequality concepts, some of the primality concepts, some GCD, LCM concepts, right? All these important number theory concepts, very, very important, right? Bit manipulation, somebody said here, that again probably will come in the under the tools part. Then basic algos, right? Your basic algos. Like a lot of these algos are there that you need to know, which are part of your algorithm scores, right? So I don't know, Fibonacci or basic concepts like recursion, how do you apply them, right? And then you go into tools, dynamic programming, very important, recursion, very, very important, data structures, how do you effectively use heaps, priority queues, binary search trees, binary trees, all these are linked lists, right? Very, very important. Okay, awesome. So I think these are some of the important aspects of competitive programming. Awesome. Moving on to the next topic, right? In fact, before I actually move on, let me take a pause, right? I have been speaking for a while. Let me take a pause and hear from you guys. Any thoughts or any question around what we've already discussed? Feel free to go ahead. I'll pause for a minute. Any questions, any thoughts, feel free to go ahead. For the very beginner, Jyotishman, what is competitive programming? Okay. Krishna, competitive programming is programming which is writing programs, right? Computer programs for competitions. So there are a lot of these mathematical problems that many competitions pose. In fact, for all hiring, right? If you go to any interview, any hiring, right? They will ask you those kind of questions. So it is important for students, especially computer science students, engineering students. It's important to master some of the important concepts, and also important to practice them and become decent so that they'll get placed well. I hope that answers your question. Uh, okay, Akshay is asking what's your favorite algorithm. I'll come to that. So Jyotishman, for the very beginner, forget about everything. Just understand the concepts. I said graph theory, number theory, and the common algorithms mentioned in your CL, what is the book? Corman book, or there is another book by Donald Knuth, CLRS, right? So these are basically initials of the four authors, one of whom is Corman, whose name I remember, others I don't. And in fact, it's the most famous book. Apart from that, there is a book by Donald Knuth, and in fact, there are very many others as well. Right? So go and look at the important algorithms, but definitely graph theory and number theory, two of the most important topics. Yes, Karthik. So I'll go to again Jyotishman. Jyotishman, important is to first understand the concepts, then understand your tools. Tools are data structures like arrays, linked lists, right? And a little bit later, once you feel a little bit confident with arrays and linked list, go to your dynamic programming, which typically uses multidimensional arrays or vectors, right? And then go to recursion. Okay. Hope that answers your question, Jyotishman. Prashant, I hope I also answered your question around why is it important to learn concepts. Because if you don't understand the concept, right, you will not be able to come up with the right solution for that problem, right? You need to first understand. Like for example, in your physics, if you remember your IEEE exam, right, or IIT JEE exam, if you don't understand the concept of Newton's second law, you cannot apply it in a problem. The same exact thing. You have to first understand the concept. My favorite algorithm is Dijkstra's, Akshay. I cite that everywhere. Yeah. For that matter, my favorite subject is graph theory. So yeah. Thank you, Vivo. Japjot is saying difference between competitive. No, Japjot. If you are good with competitive, the questions are very similar for placements as well. So if you practice your concepts, practice your data structures and techniques, they will be very, very useful for placements as well. Okay. Karthik is asking, competitive coding is sufficient to get into product-based companies? Yes, that's right, Karthik. But again, competitive coding is not important. What is important is you must understand the concepts, you must practice and master your tools. If you do these, you'll do well in competitive coding, you'll do well in placements pretty much everywhere. Okay. Kamlesh is asking from beginner where to start. Kamlesh, like I said, get CLRS book or Corman and understand the basic graph theory and number theory algorithms. Okay, and sorting and searching. So sorting, searching are basically nothing but sort of like number theory and string algorithms. Okay. Shruti is asking, I started practicing in CodeChef, still lacking because CodeChef, yeah, Shruti, it's a good start. Important thing is to keep your focus on concepts, right? What will happen is you get a question, you are not able to tackle it because you are lacking somewhere in concepts, right? So focus on concepts. Keep focusing. It will take 1 year at least to get good at concepts. So give yourself 1 year. Aram se. Don't try to hurry on it. Give yourself one solid year to get good at concepts, right? I think this is actually an important point, by the way. Guys, a lot of us get demotivated because we're not able to answer questions. That's totally fine, right? Important is to understand the concepts. Give yourself 1 year, 2 years to understand the concepts. No need to hurry. But once you understand, right? Then you will be able to answer all the questions, right? Hopefully I answered your question, Shruti. But let me know if you have any more question on top of this. Okay. Ask is saying, what should be the level we should achieve in CP or just to crack test and interview into a good company? So I think a solid practice of at least 1 to 2 years, ask in general. A solid practice, understand your concepts well, take your time, understand your basic concepts, then do a practice of at least, I would say, 1 year. Hopefully that answers your question. Ask. That's a very ballpark number. There are geniuses who will probably master the same thing in 2 months. That's also fine, but a very ballpark number. Okay. Harsh is asking how I increase my ability. Harsh, there is no way around concepts. If you're not able to understand that concept, go to their friend who understands it. Sit with him, ask him to make you understand that concept. Once you understand that concept, slowly you start to use your tools, which are data structures, right? And flow control strategies like recursion DP, right? Slowly you will start to master them, but first focus on concepts. Don't first to master your tools. Okay. Karthik is asking, how can I know some point whether I'm prepared enough to crack? You will know, Karthik, you will know. Don't worry about it. Start practicing your concepts, you will know. Okay. No, Shruti, don't compare yourself to others because your career is 40, 50 years from now. So you are preparing not because you are thinking you are preparing for placements. That's why many of you are getting demotivated. Don't think it that way. Your career is 40, 50 years. So somebody who has prepared for the next year, he'll get placed well. But if you prepare really well 2 years from now, you can get a lot better. If you prepare get really, really well in 3 years from now, you can get really ahead. So don't just target your current placements. Definitely, it's one of your important targets. I'm not saying don't target it, but that's not the only target, right? So keep the whole career in view, right? Problem solving is not for placements. Problem solving is for your life. So remember that. With that intent, learn the concepts. Okay. Some good sources for learning concepts. 2 favorite books, Corman, and the second is Donald Knuth. Okay, Harsh is saying same. Yeah, Harsh, most of the students have the same problem that they feel that they are not good enough at problem solving or coding. That's not a problem at all. Like I said, it's not a problem at all. Give yourself solid time to understand the concepts. There is no shortcut. Don't even try to take shortcuts. I hope it makes sense to all of you, right? Okay. Okay, Gaurav is asking, is it necessary to learn from? No, not at all. In fact, I highly discourage that, Gaurav. Don't learn more than 1 or 2 languages. At max, one backend language, let's say Java or Kotlin or C Sharp, only one. Don't learn more than one. No point, right? And second is learn, if you really want, you can learn a front-end language like JavaScript or something like that. But no, definitely no need to learn more than that. Okay, definitely no need to learn a lot of languages. If you want to become Rabindranath Tagore, it's awesome if you just learn 2 languages. Rabindranath Tagore had mastered Bengali and English, right? But he was really, really good at them. So you don't need to learn 100 languages to win the Nobel Prize. Just mastering 1 or 2 is also very, very good enough. Okay, ZX, just development skills give an upper hand in placement. Of course, problem solving specifically, ZX. Lot of upper hand. Okay, Ashish is asking me privately what topic. Topic primarily sorting, searching, graph theory, number theory, primarily, but some other topics also, right? Refer Corman and Donald Knuth. Keshav, can we shift this question and answer at some later point? We definitely can, and I'm also here after this session also, Keshav. If you have any question, definitely feel free to ask any question that you have at that point of time as well. Okay, I'm here. No hurries. This is not a syllabus that we have to finish. I'm here. You guys are here. Hopefully, we are having a good conversation, and hopefully, you guys are learning something on the way. That's the objective. Okay. Kamlesh, is it okay to start from Python for a beginner? Of course, Python is a very good language to learn. Typically used because it's sort of like informal because of the type are very loose in Python. So typically used in data sciences, but no problem. You can learn Python also. It's a good language. Saroj is asking which language is best for CP. CP wise, it's considered C or CP, C++. Maybe C++ actually is considered the best because it's fast and it's concise and very optimal towards it has no concept of JVM or any virtual machine. So it's slightly faster. And it has good data structure support as well in the form of STL and all. So it's considered slightly better. But as such, it's okay to learn Java also. That's not a problem. Java, C# is also okay. They are slightly slower because of the virtual machine, but that's fine. Okay. Akanksha is asking what's important. Akanksha, important is three things. Like I said, first, understand your concepts, master your tools through practice. Second is incremental learning. If you keep incrementally learning, you will, over 1 or 2 years, you'll understand or learn a lot of new things. Okay, Akanksha, hopefully that answers your question. Awesome. So lots of questions. Loved answering all your questions. And I think if when I was a student, these were also probably my questions. So I can totally relate with your questions. Awesome. So we'll go back to our slide and then we'll come back to Q&A, maybe 15, 20 minutes from now. Okay, let's go back to our slides. Not very formal again, but we'll come back to Q&A 15, 20 minutes from now. Okay. So one thing in competitive programming is very important is data structures. You must master arrays, array lists or all sorts of lists, linked lists, all sorts of linked lists, trees, all sorts of trees, trie, and any other data structure that you can think of, right? Pretty much. And some graph data structures, right? Like if you want to implement using some graph classes like nodes, trees, graphs, right? Unidirectional graphs, bidirectional, right? So these data structures are important. And how do you, and there is a really easy way to, by the way, master data structures, which is the second part. Don't master data structure before you understand concept. I'm telling it again, right? Because it is super important. But once you think you understand a concept, now you want to implement it using a data structure, right? It is important that you actually implement it. Take your time. Don't give yourself 1 hour, give yourself 1 month, give yourself 1 month, but try that every day until you are able to finish it. Once you are able to finish a data structure, right, using a specific data, commit it to your GitHub immediately and keep referring it. That's how you will internalize the data structure and you will be able to use that data structure within 1 hour later on. But first time, don't give yourself 1 hour. First time, give yourself sufficient time to master any data structure. Do you guys agree with me? Yes, no? Agree? Yes, no? Okay. Okay, thank you, Karthik. Thank you, Preeti. Awesome. Thank you, Hanuman, Kamlesh, Aniket, Prashant, Shruti, Anubhav. Awesome. Awesome. Thank you for responding. Right. So, guys, some of your questions got missed above. Please copy them back later on when we go to Q&A so that I'll answer them. Okay. Uh, so data structures are important, but just like you are understanding data structures now, when you go to industry, they will not be as relevant. They will not be as relevant. When you go to industry, what will become much more relevant are databases, right? And why? Why will database all of a sudden become more important than data structures? Because data structures are in memory. They happen inside your RAM. Whatever you do with data structures, all that processing happens inside your RAM, right? All that data is stored inside your RAM, right? But databases are dedicated huge stores where you can store your data. So when you go to industry, there will be a lot of data coming in to your service, right? So you have to store it in some sort of big data structures, big databases, right? So once you store them in your databases, there will be different types of questions or scenarios. Just like there are different types of scenarios in data structures, in some scenario you're using an array, in some scenario you're using a linked list. So similarly, there are equally large number of use cases in databases as well, right? So there are document databases, there are SQL databases, which are transactional databases. There are NoSQL databases, right? Which are sort of like non-transactional or document databases, right? So there are different types of databases which are used in different use cases. So you have to master them. So be mentally prepared. In fact, better yet, when you're doing your internship, pay specific attention to learning database concepts, because when you go into the industry, just like data structures are important, very important for you to do very well in competitive programming, databases are going to be very, very important if you want to do well in industrial coding. I hope that gives some perspective, right? I'll go, yeah. Another major difference, right, is 1 day versus 1 year. So competitive question you get on a ballpark 1 day to solve, right? And but in industry, to solve a problem, I'm saying 1 year, it could be 6 months, it could be 2 years, it could be anything. But what I mean to say is you'll get lot of time to solve the problem. But why are you getting a lot of time? Why are you getting a lot of time? That's because you want to ensure that you are solving each and every use case, every nook and corner, every customer scenario. And that is very important, right? In programming, I remember when, let's say, I'm submitting an answer, some of the cases are test cases are failing. You try to guess, right? Okay, what that test case could be, and just try to code for that test case, right? But in industrial coding, it's not like that. You have to first enumerate all your customer scenarios, and you have to plan, design for all of them. You're not even coding until now. You're thinking about them. Okay, these are all the use cases. How can I optimize all these use cases? What should the flow be? What my services will be, right? All of those things you have to first take into consideration. And then you start coding. After you are convinced, okay, this is the right way to code it in the next 6 months, then you go code that. Do you see the difference? By the way, you can apply the same concept to your competitive programming portfolio also. Like if you want to say, my portfolio is going to be that I want to master graph theory in the next 6 months, graph theory, number theory, searching, sorting, and a few other things, right? You can track this exactly like an industrial project. Make a plan. First month I am going to focus on searching algorithms. Second, I'm going to focus on sorting and in data structures, arrays and linked list. Third, I'm going to focus on graph algorithms, maybe for 3 months, right? So this is exactly what industrial coding is. You have to keep your focus for a really long duration of time, which you don't do. In competitive programming, you wake up, today is a fresh day. You look at the problem, you give yourself 2 hours, and then you completely forget about it, right? You move on to something else. So that is a major difference, and you can already start practicing to work in that long-term mode by actually creating a portfolio, like I just said, for you, even when you don't have a project, but even when you're actually focusing on your competitive programming skills. Okay, so a tip, that's again a tip, so that you can already get into that rhythm. Second, third important point, in competitive programming, mostly you are responsible for testing your code. So you know what's the result? That you don't test. Most of us, most of the students, they don't test their code at all. They don't test their code at all. Forget about testing more or less. Most of them don't test at all, right? And some of the good competitive programmers, in fact, that's, I consider, one of the main differences between test means you have written a code, Karthik, but how do you know it's working or not for all the use cases? You have to write some tests for that. You actually have to write code to test it. You have to give sample input to your code, and you have to see sample output, test it, right? Whether the sample output is correct or not. So that is what I mean by testing. But when you go to industry, you will not have that luxury. There will be a bunch of folks doing different types of testing. So what do we learn from this difference between competitive and industrial? We learn that it is very important to start practicing to test your code. And I guarantee that you actually start practicing from day one, you will actually become very good at competitive programming also. And at the same time, when you go into the industry, you will be very, very confident with your code because you are testing so well. Even when others are going to test, your code will not have many defects or what we call bugs, because you already have tested your code to some extent. Awesome. No, Naveen, you, by submitting is not testing. Submitting means you are asking somebody else to test it, right? Before submitting, you have to test your code. Okay, Naveen, I hope I'm responding well to you. So you have to test your code before you submit. Okay. Okay. So how many of you are going to start, I don't know, testing or not, but thinking about testing from today? Respond on the chat. Yeah, Harsh, custom inputs. So think about testing. It's important, right? Most of us don't. So start testing. If you start testing, right, you will become very good. When you reach the industry, you will automatically become very, very good because you have that habit internalized. Actually, by the way, I did not have that habit. When I went to the industry, I did not test at all. I used to leave all the testing to the test folks, but that's a bad habit. Yeah, Akshay, you should write unit tests. That's right. Okay, awesome. Glad to know. Okay. So the next slide are some of the other aspects. So I will not go through all of these, right? But maybe I'll take 30 seconds to cover all of them. The projects in industry, because a lot of people are working on it, they're very big, like tens of thousands or millions of lines of code sometimes, some projects, right? Very, very big. So you have to make sure that you write clean code so that people understand what you've written, right? Similarly, it should be scalable, like it should be designed in a way that it should not bottleneck. Your code should not be the bottleneck in the overall flow, right? It should scale. But maybe you will not be able to understand this point right now. Only when you actually go and create that project, maybe you will be able to understand that at that point of time. Similarly, user experience. Some of you will definitely be working on front end, right? Full stack front end. So they need to also have a good sense of user experience, right? What design will users like more? And because yesterday I was browsing through Netflix, right? After a long time, apart from, right? So Netflix user experience is like super awesome. I saw it yesterday, right? Very innovative, very different, right? If any of you have seen, it's like very different. You browse, you hover on one, it starts playing that video. It makes that thumbnail larger. It starts playing that video for a significant amount of time. So that it was very innovative user experience, right? So some of you who are going to be working on user experience, keep that in mind. See if you can, if you keep thinking about it, you can innovate, right? Okay. Again, performance. Performance is important actually in competitive code also, but in industrial coding, performance means slightly a different thing because there are multiple services involved, right? Multiple services, databases, and all. So overall flow should be performant for the user. Okay, so I wanted to go through the example web service architecture, which I will go through. Let me, which will also give you a sense of what a front end role is, what a back end role is, and what a full stack role is, right? And what a data science role is also. So let's go through a simple sample web service architecture, right? Let's say this is you, right? And let's say you have a laptop where you have opened some browser. So whatever is appearing in your browser is called the front end, right? So the UI, user experience, UI, UX, right? That's that. So, but who loads it? Who gives that content? So some sort of server is hosted in the backend. So that is called backend, right? So this, whatever is loading is called front end, and whatever the service is there in the back is called backend. And in the backend, there actually could be multiple services talking to each other. There could be databases. Databases are typically represented like this. And there could be some other services doing different things, right? Let's say some of these services also do analytics and data science, which is learning, ingest a lot of data and draw patterns out of it, analyze it. That is what is called data science, right? And ML is a way of doing it by training the machine to learn from the data, right? So this is front end, this is back end, this is data science, this is database management, right? So hopefully this gives you, and this is a typical architecture of any web service or any website which is not static that you look at, right? More or less, this is the architecture. So when you become an engineer, front-end engineer, you will be working on how do you design and render these front-end experiences. If you become a back-end engineer, you will be working on how do you develop these back-end services, how do you interact with the databases, how do you interact with other services, right? So that will be the job of a back-end engineer. Data, and whatever data comes, it will flow into some service where you will run a lot of analytics or pattern extraction, and that is what is going to be data science, very briefly at a very overview level, right? So these are the different roles. Okay, so guys, I think I'll stop here. Hopefully that gives you a glimpse of what are the different roles that are there and what might actually be of interest to you, right? So at this point of time, I'll pause again, and I want to hear if you guys have any questions for me or any thoughts, any comments. I'd love to hear. Any question, guys? Any thoughts? We have around 7 minutes still. So let's have a good conversation. Let's use the time, right? Okay, so Shruti is asking, applying for internships has been very difficult. Okay, a lot of do internships in marketing. Okay, go for web development. Okay, uh, okay. So Shruti, don't go after internship first, right? If you are confused, do your personal project. It will take you a few days. Follow some YouTube videos or Udemy videos, right? And do some personal projects. Few days, you will get a very good flavor of what each of these things is, and whatever interests you, then apply in a very big way for internships in that field. Make sense, Shruti? Ajay is asking, Ajay Roy, I guess it is asking, important project is very important, Ajay. In fact, I had a session, if you go to our YouTube channel of MFL Edu Club, right? I had hosted 10 sessions, by the way, talking about uh, what are the biggest mistakes that Indian students make, right? From my own mistakes when I was a student, how should they avoid it? How can they learn faster, right? And one of the session was completely dedicated to projects, because we Indian students, we don't do our projects. We do company internships, we do course projects, we do all those things, but we don't do our projects, things that we are passionate about. So my strong recommendation is identify what you are passionate about, one, and go do a personal project around it. It will be the best portfolio project that you can ever have, because you are committed to it, because you are passionate about it, right? So I'm giving a lot of tips. How can you make sure that you go through with that project? Because many of us, including myself, I started 3 such projects when I was a student, right? But I didn't finish any of them. So I am giving you tips from that experience. First is, don't choose a random topic. Choose a topic that you are very passionate about. Second is, create a team. Don't do it alone, because if you do it alone, abandoning it is very easy. But if you make a team of 3, 4, 5 people, the bigger the team, the more difficult it is for you to abandon the project. The third is, track it in a very structured way. Do not randomly do it. Track it in using a proper tool like GitHub projects, VSTS, Azure boards, Jira, something. Pick a tool, formal tool, track it properly. That will make sure that you are taking your project to completion, right? Hopefully, this gives you some perspective, Ajay. Okay, do developers keep learning new frameworks? Of course, developers always keep learning new frameworks, and new frameworks keep appearing on the scene every few months, if not years, right? So Jainag is saying, resources for learning full stack development. So I say first focus on one, Jainag. Either focus on backend, and once you feel a little bit confident, right, then go to front end, or the other way around. But don't, my recommendation is, don't try to learn both front end and back end at the same time. That's my recommendation, personal recommendation. First, pick a project, do deliver that in backend, then pick a project in front end, and then deliver it. You will be confident in both. Then you can call yourself a full stack developer, right? But in my opinion, you should not try to learn both at the same time, because it's more like multitasking. Okay, Gaurav is saying every Sunday at the same time. No, Gaurav. Back then I was having it at every Saturday, but right now I am not having this session every weekend. But once in a while I host sessions like this. I hope that answers your question. Prashant is asking, what is your opinion on VR developers? VR is very creative area, right? And a very new area. I think any VR developer, it will take some time to gain that expertise, right? But once you gain, the value as an engineer is going to be very high, no doubt about that, because not very many VR developers are there. So it's a very good upcoming area, by the way, right? VR, AR. ASK is asking, what are the other technologies we should have other than CP? No, I think CP in itself is CP's competitive programming is in itself a pretty big area. Based on your passion, based on the project, feel free to pick up anything, image processing, uh, IoT, machine learning, whatever is towards your passionate area of passion, go ahead and do that. Go ahead and learn that ASK. No need to learn anything because everybody else is learning it. No, I don't recommend that. Pick your passion, pick your project, then whatever is required to accomplish that, go learn that. Whatever is required, electronics, robotics, doesn't matter. Whatever is required to deliver your passion, go learn that. But don't learn nothing because everybody else is learning, because that's not a good enough motivation. Saroj is asking, what type of approach need while doing CP? I think Saroj, the same approach, first concepts, then tools, then incremental learning. How fast so Vivo, whatever your name is, right? Technologies were changing slowly in our time when we were students. But now technology is is changing really, really fast. Really, really fast. So I would say don't focus on the technology actually. Any technology is good enough actually. Okay. Focus on the goal. And once you focus on the goal, do deliver it with whatever best tool you have right now. Today you are doing with some tool, tomorrow there is a better tool. No need to immediately change your tool. No, stick to your tool because you have mastered that tool, right? Stick to your tool. But at the same time, see, look out what are the new tools, right? I'm not saying don't learn the other tool at all, but no need to switch immediately to the other tool. I hope that answers your question. Karthik is asking, is it better to focus on CP rather than industrial coding? No, Karthik. It is very important to master CP. Okay, very, very important. But at the same time, I gave you a few tips, right? Do you remember? Plan your project, test your project, and make sure that whatever you are writing in a clean way, so that even if the volume of the code is very high, that should not be a problem. It should still be readable, right? Because you must have seen many people write I, where I equal to 0, while I equal to 0, I plus plus, people write code like that. Don't write code like that. That is not readable code. Write code which is readable, right? You can understand tomorrow also, right? Readable code, right? Just like speaking. I can speak in a, like Sashi Tharoor, but none of you will be able to understand. I'm not saying none of you, but some of you may not be able to understand, right? But if I speak like, I don't know, Chetan Bhagat, right? That's the author. In simple language, all of you will be able to understand, right? So important that you learn the language and apply it properly. Okay, system design. Vivo system design is important. Actually, a very important question. But as if you are a student, you can park that for now. Is what I feel. But if you want to do a project, right? If you want to do your project, then system design is important. For that, my tip is, because you are a student, you don't have any exposure to system design. My tip is reach out to a professional who has some experience, right? Reach out to a professional, ask them, hello, I want to design this kind of a system. My requirements are this. Can you give me some tips? And then learn from that, right? That's my tip, to quickly, because otherwise it will take a lot of time. I can give you a lot of books, but that will take a lot of time. You will automatically go there when you go into the industry, and you'll spend all that time. Okay, where to start backend development? Backend development, Keshav, you can start with creating your own web app using Java, Kotlin, C Sharp, anything, right? There are YouTube videos. In fact, there are sessions in the same series. I had held a session where we created a web app and we hosted it in the cloud. So you can go to the YouTube channel, and in one of my sessions, you can look at how to create a web app and host in the cloud, something like that. The topic was something like that, how to create a web app, right? So you can, that's just for reference. That's not the only way, that's just for reference. Okay, Hanuman is asking, I'm from non-computer, I got interested in coding and programming? Definitely. Again, pick up a good book. Don't pick up a bad book. Pick up a good book like Corman. Give yourself 1 full year, Hanuman. Okay, 1 full year, but be persistent. Read for 30 minutes, 1 hour every day. Okay, read in the morning. Don't read in the evening. Read in the morning when you have energy, when you are full of mental perseverance. Then, read every day. In 1 year, you will become superstar. Okay, Keshav is asking, I mean, which tech? Django, React, Spring. Uh, mm, 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 there are many technologies actually, many frameworks, Keshav. Spring is good one. Um, there are lots of them actually. Don't need to master everything. Django is just a language, by the way. React is a framework. Spring Boots are backend frameworks. So what I will say, learn it based on your need. You don't need to learn in advance, Keshav. Decide a project, then learn based on your need. Okay. Okay, Pradyum, C++ language, of course, it is used in industrial programming also, but to a lesser degree. More used languages are Java, C Sharp, Kotlin, JavaScript. These are more popular, but C Sharp is also used. Okay, when you have to host a code directly in the Linux operating system where JVM or any virtual machine is not there, right? So you have to write it in C or C Sharp. Okay, you are writing a driver. You have to write it in C or C Sharp. Other languages are not even an option. Okay, Aditya is asking, good book for C++. Jan Strustrup. Jan Strustrup, who's the inventor of C++. Read his book. You will get a lot of information. It's very deep book. Okay. Okay, guys, I think we have come to the end of the session. So if anybody who has attended, thank you for attending the session on a Sunday night. Totally appreciated. Hopefully you learned something. I am here for the next 5 minutes or so. So if you have any specific question for me, you can post it now, or you can also feel free to ping me on my LinkedIn and ask me question there. I'd love to answer your questions there as well. Okay, awesome. So I'll be here for the next 5 minutes or so, and I'll take some questions if there are. Okay, Karthik is asking, I have desire to learn and experiment with all technologies. Okay, I also love CP. I want to get big MNCs. They require CP. I am not understanding what to do, how to achieve everything. Karthik, yeah, that's the problem with us, right? We want to do everything, but time is the constraint, right? So I would say, don't try to learn everything. That's like physically not possible, right? Uh, Practice concepts, solve problems, and around blockchain, IoT, and all, right, I don't think you should target to learn everything, because you can't, for the simple reason that you can't, right? So target a project. Don't target to thank you, Anuman. So don't target to learn a tool without knowing what are you going to use it for. Like if you don't know that you are going to be a carpenter, you should not be learning chainsaw. Make sense? If I ask you, in addition to web dev, AIMD, also learn chainsaw, will you? You will not, right? Because you know that you don't want to be a carpenter. Similarly, if you don't want to be a security expert, or if you don't want to be a robotics engineer, then probably you don't want a few things, right? Similarly, if you don't want to be data scientist, then you probably don't even need machine learning or Python, right? So first, it's important to identify what you are going to do, or what you like, you would like to do, right? Even if you're not placed immediately in that, that's fine, but it's important for you to understand what you like and what you want to do, and try to make yourself better at mastering tools which are important for that, so that when you go there, when you finally reach that workshop, right, and other carpenters are there, if you have mastered chainsaw, then you can immediately create a beautiful furniture, isn't it? So focus on mastering chainsaw if you really want to become an awesome carpenter. But if you want to become, if you're not sure what you want to become, and if you're mastering chainsaw, if you're mastering circuit board, if you're mastering, I don't know, lathe machine, you're mastering everything, then you may not even get to use any of them, right? Later on. Okay, Anmol is asking an interesting question. He remained in Microsoft for a normal for a mm, long time. I loved it, man. I don't think it has to be 2 3 years or anything at all. It has to be about what you're working on. Are you loving it or not? As long as you like it, love it on the products that you're working on, uh, I think it's okay. And I changed from Microsoft to Amazon because one reason was I had just shifted to the CRM team, so I was open for change. Second was I just wanted to change to look at how different it is, right? I've heard great things about Amazon as well, so I wanted to face, right? A bit about switch from Micro to Amazon experiences. Both are great firms, guys, and I think actually personally, independent of Microsoft and Amazon, personally I think it is important which team in Microsoft or Amazon you are in, so that you know what is that interesting thing that you are working on. So a good team in Microsoft is better than bad team in Amazon. A bad team in Microsoft is worse than good team in Amazon. So it's probably more than Microsoft or Amazon or any other company. As an engineer, you need to make sure that you're working on a good team, on good things. Hopefully that makes sense to you, Anmol and Keshav. ASK is asking how to create interested in programming and coding because I lose it after doing a few days. Then again, ASK, I'll repeat, focus on concept. Throw away your laptop, throw away your, delete your IDE. That's where the problem is, right? That's where the problem, because the problem is you don't know how to cut a tree, right? You are randomly picking a chainsaw, which is, let's say that chainsaw is dynamic programming or array. You are randomly picking a chainsaw and trying haphazardly to cut a tree. Don't do that. First, understand the concepts of cutting the tree. Don't pick the chainsaw before that. First, you understand the concepts. Go to a carpenter, learn from him the concepts. Once you are a little bit confident, then try to learn chainsaw, and then you will, you'll enjoy cutting the tree. Or actually, cutting the tree is a good is a bad analogy. I don't mean cutting the tree, but then you will enjoy doing carpentry. Let's put it this way, right? So in programming paradigm, first focus on the concept is hard, by the way, it's not easy, but once you understand the concept, then you will have fun implementing it, I assure you. But if you don't understand the concept, you are trying to implement it, you will not have fun. It's going to be boring. Prashant is asking, what's your opinion to be open-minded to not stick to one? Yeah, that's fine, Prashant. Definitely. In fact, as a engineer, it's okay to have a good experience around different things. It's okay, totally. Jainag is asking your journey and work style that made you into micro. No, so when I passed out from, I'm passed out of IIT Kharagpur, BTech 2009. So when I passed out, our year, that was a recession year, just like it is this year, right? That was also a recession year. So we were like really scared. And so I would say very fortunate that one of the three folks that Microsoft hired on day one, I got hired, right? I think there was a fair bit of luck in that as well. So I think you do your part here, Janag. You do your practice, you do your concepts. Uske baad, if it's a recession year, you didn't get hired, it's fine. It's not, like I said, it's about 50 years career. It's not about this year. It's not going to end this year. If you have all the tools, if you are practicing, your career eventually will go long, 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 long way. You will be an amazing engineer. I have no doubt about that. So don't focus necessarily on just 1 year or one placement session. That should not define anybody. I hope that answers your question, Jainag. Okay, how did you start with coding? Yeah, Shruti, good question. I was not passionate about coding. I was just CSE branch. So I think with our projects and assignments, it was mandatory. So that's how I started coding. I was not specifically passionate about it. Can you describe your work in Amazon? Good question, Anmol. So I am a software architect. I design services. I don't code a lot per se. I have done a lot of coding in my other teams, but I design services. How should the architecture be? How should the databases be? How should the end-to-end flow happen? Right? So all of that. ASK is asking, I'm quite good at it, but I don't enjoy doing it. Okay, okay, good, fair enough. So then probably you should not do it. I think you should do what you enjoy doing it, ASK. Don't leave it today, or maybe find something which you enjoy and then try to apply your expertise knowledge there. Maybe you enjoy robotics, maybe you enjoy IoT, I don't know, maybe you enjoy teaching others. If you are quite good at something, you don't enjoy coding, maybe if you enjoy teaching just like I do, maybe you can teach others, right? Coding, if you're good at it, why not? Vivo, RCS topics like, of course, compiler design, formal language, a lot of other things, algorithms. Okay, Keshav, how is it mobility between the teams? Of course, big companies like Amazon, Microsoft, very flexible. Amazon is super awesome also to go to abroad, like Seattle, Europe, anywhere. Amazon is one of the best place to work in from that perspective, from relocation perspective. Okay, Vivo, okay, important. How RCS like compiler design important, but then much more important if you are passionate towards that. If your project is around that, then it is very important that you become the best in it or you become an expert in it. But if your project is not towards that, then I think it's okay if you just get something, some grade, or if you're just decently good enough at it. You don't need to be an expert at it because you can't be expert in everything. So choose your area of expertise aligned, very much aligned with what your passion is, right? Okay, Karthik is asking, how do you protect your eyes, sir? I am spending most of time in front of laptop. Yeah. Actually, I wear specs. Today, I'm not. My specs are broken. But I think I use this monitor here. I'll show you my monitor. So I'm right now using my laptop, but I use the monitor. Typically, I don't use my laptop, but I'm doing it today. So if you are having eye pain, then monitor can help it because the distance between monitor is much more than the distance between your eyes and laptop. Okay, 8:15 it is. We will call it a meet. Thank you for asking lots of good questions. I had a lot of fun interacting with all you guys. If you have any more questions, drop them off in my LinkedIn and I would love to respond back to you. Okay, have a good night, guys, and keep at it. Keep practicing. You will get awesome and plan for 50 years, not for 1 year. Okay, awesome. Bye bye, guys. See you. Meet you soon. Bye.
Goodbye, sir. It was really an awesome session. So, like, I'll be there with you guys for next coming 5 minutes. If you want, sir, you can. Okay, thank you. So, guys, once again, I don't know how you like this session, but if you really like the session and you feel it was fabulous and awesome, then hit the chat box with boom. If you really boom the session, because I can see still there is around 25 odd people, and I've also shared the link regarding the feedback. Just you can go through it. So if you guys have any question regarding anything, and also for the recording part, I will be sharing the recording in the group itself. Okay, so Karthik, I have already shared the Telegram link in the chat box itself, so you can go through it. And if you are associated with the group, you will be get notified through it only. So you don't have to worry about the further upcoming notification regarding this session. So come on, guys. If you really like the session, you feel it was fabulous, instead of saying me thank you, just write boom in the chat box. And guys, kindly go through the feedback link. Like, I know it was really great, but still, I want your written part in the feedback itself. And for now, you can write boom in the chat box.